What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Welcome to our daily show where we discuss everything going on here in our country that you need to know about here on a daily basis. We got multiple things here for you guys in this video, including Senator Bernie Sanders says he's disappointed in the Democrats and gives us an update on multiple different things. Also, Texas Governor Greg Abbott says there will be chaos if action doesn't take place very soon. Give you details on that here and multiple different things here. Thanks so much for liking and sharing these videos. If you're new here, make sure to click the subscribe button down below so you don't miss out on new videos. It's completely free to do so. Let's jump right in. First of all, Texas Governor Greg Abbott says that the end of Title 42 will bring total chaos if they're not able to extend this. This is a title here, or a kind of statute that goes back to former President Donald Trump, was enacted underneath him being president, and was actually extended by Biden, but is now set to expire here on December 21st, I believe, and would make it so the government would not be able to send back illegal immigrants when caught. And if that happens, up to 14,000 illegal immigrants caught per day, right now could be even more, as if this actually expires, more illegal immigrants could try to cross the border every single day, would not be able to be sent back to Mexico. Whether they're from Mexico, Mexicans, or from another country, right now they're sent back because they're not Americans. Well, if this Title 42 is not extended, we could see 14,000 illegal immigrants coming per day. It's over 5 million illegal immigrants per year coming into the United States. Yeah. Here's what Texas Governor Greg Abbott has to say. Let me know your thoughts on this.
I think happens next week when Title 42 comes to an end.
If the courts do not intervene and put a halt to the removal of Title 42, it's going to be total chaos. It's going to be catastrophic not just for Texas, but for the United States of America.
But how do you keep that in place? That is about COVID. That is about public health risk. I know in your emergency declaration you said it would be complete chaos, but that's not a reason to keep a public health.
So you're suggesting that 18,000 people coming from more than 150 different countries across the globe itself is not a public health risk, and I disagree with that. Whether it's COVID or some other issue, when you have people coming across the globe without knowing at all what their health status is, that almost by definition is a public health risk. If the president steps up and does his job required by the Constitution, required by the federal courts, and enforces remain in Mexico, that would have the same level of effectiveness as keeping Title 42 in place.
Yeah, so let me know your thoughts on this. It's just crazy here. This is crazy. I mean, even the Biden administration had a stark change of policy. Even the Republicans were saying, yeah, we just was. I don't even know what to say about this, because, the Biden administration has been so against the Trump border wall here. I was just absolutely flabbergasted to see this news here, that the Biden administration is actually announcing that they're working on fixing parts of the Trump border wall construction. And they actually announced it this week to work on closing gaps in the border wall, which is completely against everything that they have ever done with the border wall. They've always been against it. It's almost kind of like the Biden administration admitting defeat with the border and the border wall and the Trump wall. And we haven't really seen anything like this out of the Biden administration in regards to the border and the wall. I think just the reality of it is just we have millions of people coming across the border illegally. I mean, there's a way to come into any country legally, and there's a way to come not legally. And in almost any other country in the world, we're just one of the, if not the only country that is letting this happen in the way that it's happening. I mean, if you went to other countries, they have literally armed guards that if they find you, they would just we'll just say it wouldn't be a pretty sight. We'll just say that. I mean, you can let me know your thoughts here in the comments. Also, in regards to this national health emergency, which ties into, that Title 42 as well, the COVID part of that, you can see here, national health emergency could end soon. What that means for your food benefits, SNAP benefits, pandemic extra benefits as well. Remember here that the deadline for that is in January as well, which actually means that millions and millions of Americans get extra SNAP food benefits, and people on Medicaid are actually getting extra Medicaid benefits here as well. That is the deadline for that is in mid-January here, and you can actually see here they have been extending this. They haven't extended it yet because it's in mid-January here, but there's a lot of people, millions of people getting extra food benefits because of the pandemic, which is still going on here. I just did an update here in the last video or two. There's still 150,000 people per day catching COVID on some days. So keep that in mind, that the pandemic is still going on. Here's the states getting extra SNAP benefits of up to $95 per month per family of extra bonus money for December. These states are Alabama, California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Guam, U.S. territory, Hawaii, Illinois, Kansas, Louisiana, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, North Carolina, Ohio, Oklahoma, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, South Carolina, Texas, Utah, Vermont, Virginia, the U.S. Virgin Islands, West Virginia, and Wisconsin, which will provide a lot of extra money to a lot of extra people. Here in December, some of these benefits get paid out in January, but if you got the November money, it would have paid out here in December. Some states just pay it out the month later, or some states pay it out the month of. You can see here's the states for November. So some states can still get added here as kind of they're still getting their paperwork here. But it's good to still see this amount of states paying out extra benefits here because of the pandemic. It's basically stimulus money. I mean, it literally says here because of the pandemic here. So it's good to still see this happening. Next up, I want to show you what Senator Bernie Sanders had to say here. Remember, he's a independent. He's not a Democrat. He's not a Republican. He caucuses often with the Democratic Party, but he criticizes the Democrats and the Republicans a lot of times equally so. And he says in this video he's disappointed in the Democratic Party. And I wanted to show you this and have your thoughts here. Let me know what you think about this. And also, he gives us an update here on a lot of different things that Congress is working on and will be working on here going forward. So take a listen to this. This will give you an insight of a lot of different things they're working on. Here we go.
This is an issue that I and a number of us, Democrats and Republicans, progressives, conservatives, have been working on for a number of years. I was disappointed that the Biden administration has announced its opposition to the resolution that I am bringing forth. But we have been in communication with the administration all day, and just a few minutes ago, we have received a commitment from them that they will work with us to end the war in Yemen and bring peace to that very troubled region. Now, I don't know if the administration and those of us who want to go forward will end up being in agreement. If not, I assure the members that we will be back with a resolution in the very near future, as soon as we can, because this is an issue that I and many of us feel passionately about. So to the members, I'm not going to ask for a vote tonight, but I do want to express my concerns, deep concerns about what's going on in that region. Mr. President, in 2014, with the active support of the United States military, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and a coalition of other countries intervened in the civil war in Yemen. The result of that intervention was the creation of the worst humanitarian crisis on the planet. And it really is almost hard to imagine what is going on in that impoverished country. Since the war began in 2015, over 377,000 people have been killed, including at least 130,000 people who have died from indirect causes like food insecurity and lack of health care as a direct result of the Saudi blockade of Yemen and the humanitarian obstruction by warring parties. Today, nearly 25 million Yemenis are in need of humanitarian assistance, 5 million are at risk of famine, and over 1 million are affected by cholera. According to UNICEF, by the end of this calendar year, nearly 18 million people, including over 9 million children, will lack access to safe water, sanitation, and hygiene services in Yemen, leading to regular outbreaks of preventable diseases like cholera, measles, and diphtheria. The 8-year war in Yemen has internally displaced over 4 million people, making Yemen home to one of the largest internal displacement crises in the world, with women and children bearing the brunt of that burden. According to the United Nations Population Fund, nearly 77%, or 3 million of those displaced in Yemen, are women and children. Mr. President, every 2 hours, a Yemeni woman dies during childbirth, an almost entirely preventable crisis. Furthermore, in Yemen today, more than 1 million pregnant and breastfeeding women are acutely malnourished, a number we may see double with rising food insecurity. According to the International Relief Organization, Oxfam, the threat of famine is very serious. Despite ongoing humanitarian assistance, over 17 million people in Yemen remain food insecure, a number set to rise to 19 million by the end of this year. In Yemen today, over 1 million pregnant or breastfeeding women and over 2 million children under 5 require treatment for acute malnutrition. Acute malnutrition. And if you think the suffering in that country cannot get any worse, unfortunately, you would be dead wrong. The United Nations reports that if the conflict doesn't stop, the war in Yemen could lead to the deaths of 1.3 million people by the year 2030. And Mr. President, let us be crystal clear. The initiators of this terrible war in Yemen was Saudi Arabia, one of the very most dangerous countries on the face of this earth. Saudi Arabia is a dictatorship that is doing everything that it can to crush democracy in its own country. It is a brutal regime that treats women as third-class citizens and tortures civilians. It is one of the worst human rights violators in the world. Saudi Arabia's crown prince, as I think many of us are familiar with, Mohammed bin Salman, ordered the murder of Jamal Khashoggi, a Washington Post columnist and American resident, with a bone saw in 2018. And there is little doubt about that. In a blatant attempt to jack up gas prices in the United States and harm our economy, Saudi Arabia agreed to partner with Vladimir Putin in the murderous war against the people of Ukraine. At a time when children in Yemen are facing mass starvation, when that impoverished country's healthcare system is collapsing, the Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman bought himself a $500 million yacht, a $300 million French chateau, and a $450 million Leonardo da Vinci painting. And he can afford to do this because their family is worth some $1.4 trillion, one of the wealthiest, if not the wealthiest family in the entire world. According to Freedom House, a respected human rights organization, quotes, Saudi Arabia's absolute monarchy restricts almost all political rights and civil liberties. No officials at the national level are elected. The regime relies on pervasive surveillance. The criminalization of dissent appeals to sectarianism and ethnicity, and public spending supported by oil revenues to remain in power. Women and religious minorities face extensive discrimination in law and in practice, end quote. According to Human Rights Watch, under the government headed by Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, quote, Saudi Arabia has experienced the worst period of repression in its modern history, end of quote. Human Rights Watch has reported that, quote, accounts have emerged of alleged torture of high-profile political detainees in Saudi prisons, end of quote, including Saudi women's rights activists and others. The alleged torture included electric shocks, beatings, whippings, and sexual harassment. Mr. President, enough is enough. We must fundamentally reassess our relationship with the murderous regime of Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, so, the problem here is that Saudi Arabia has not really been a friend to us. And seems like, they want us to help them. And they're helping Russia more than they're acting like a friend to us. So I really, it's a tough situation here because do you want to create more enemies or friends? It's a tough situation here if you're president. Do you want to create enemies in the world? Do you want to play the middle ground? Do you really want to go tough on countries? You guys can let me know your thoughts here. If you start creating enemies in the world, then that's a tough situation as well. But Saudi Arabia definitely hasn't really been a friendly country, I would say, lately here. Siding more with Russia lately. Remember, Saudi Arabia, one of the heads of OPEC. Russia is in OPEC Plus, and they just cut oil production for the world by 2 million barrels per day to try to keep oil prices higher than they should be. Oil prices have been dropping, they're in the mid-70s, but they would be even lower if they hadn't cut oil production by 2 million barrels per day. It probably would be in the 60s. So let me know your thoughts here in the comments. I'll keep you up to date here with everything going on here in our country on a daily basis. Remember, new videos come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thanks for liking and sharing these videos. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't yet so you don't miss out on new videos. You can click here to watch my newest video next, or you can click here to watch my video here on a new Social Security letter that's going out that you need to know about. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.